Hello, everybody. Hope everything's going all right for you guys on this Thursday. I wanted to teach you guys how to do something real quick before we get started on the assignment. So today's assignment is going to involve turning two things in. You're going to have this recorded lecture. You're going to take notes on the recorded lecture, and then we're going to do some reading, and then you're going to do questions on the reading. So you're going to have to turn in the notes and the questions. Last time I did this, some of you guys had some trouble knowing how to attach two documents and turning them in. So I wanted to show you guys how to do that real quick. This is the assignment we're going to do here with the cursor on it, Unit 14, Section 2, the end of the Korean War. So click on it as you normally would. You would go to Start Assignment. And then right here where it says Upload File, you would click on that. Choose your file, whatever it is. Whatever file you've got there. And then underneath where you've attached the file, it says Add Another File. You click that, and then once again, hit Upload File, and then choose a file. Then choose another document, and then you would just submit the assignment, and it would put both documents on there. Okay? So if you need any more help with that, you can go ahead and look. So, any questions about that? All right, I'm going to pause it here for just a second and then get my screen set up for the lecture. All right, so here we go. Yesterday in class, we talked about the beginning of the Cold War. We talked about President Truman and his effort to try to, at the Potsdam Conference, or at Yalta first, and at the Potsdam Conference, how it created a division between Stalin and Truman and distrust. And so, as a result, you have the beginning of the Cold War. You have the dropping of what's called the Iron Curtain. You have the splitting up of Berlin and all of Germany amongst the different allies. And this begins the division between two of the biggest countries in the world and the strongest countries in the world after World War II, that being the United States and also the Soviet Union. And so today we're going to talk about the idea of containment that Roosevelt had. We're going to talk about some further things that happened to create more of a divide between the United States and also the Soviet Union, deepening and widening the Cold War. Okay, so it was really big during World War I and after World War I when the Soviet Union became the first communist country in the world. As we're going to show, or as I'm going to show you, it's not going to be the last communist country. But the thought of the Soviet Union trying to recruit, that they are trying to influence countries that are close to it, Poland, Bulgaria, Hungary, Belarus, Ukraine, all these other countries, trying to push them towards communism and forcing them to become communist, to be honest. And then also the thought of the United States, how can we keep communism from spreading? And so there is a policy that President Truman is going to develop that is going to be the United States policy for a long time. And then after Truman's done, we're going to go into another form of another communist policy with Eisenhower, who's going to become the next president, and really down through the Cold War, how the United States is going to decide to deal with the Soviet Union. And so if the Soviet Union, or what's called the USSR, could be prevented from spreading, then the thought is communism would die. That experts say that the economics of a communist society and the politics of communism are so oppressive that eventually, first, the economy will probably fail. Number two, the people will not support it and will eventually rebel against it. and establish something better. And so the thought is if we could just contain communism where it exists and not allow it to spread and do what we could to try to keep it from spreading, then it will die off on its own. And so that creates what's called the U.S. policy of containment. So keep communism isolated in an area that is occupied by Russia and don't let it spread to other places. And so the way we're not going to let it spread to other places is we're going to help them to see how awesome capitalism is, and democracy and representative government, and the wonderful things that can come from that through diplomatic means, and showing them how our economy is so successful and can boom under that kind of system. And also, if necessary, use military action to keep communism from spreading. So the first time that this is really challenged is after World War II. And so the Soviet Union is trying to influence places, the United States is trying to influence places, and the two will never actually fight each other, but they will fight each other with other countries. So, yeah, the first time that we have a chance to really put this practice of containment into, or put the policy of containment into practice, is after World War II in Iran and Turkey and Greece, and those three countries right there. So during World War II, the Soviet Union had put troops in the country of Iran in order to have supply lines from the Soviet Union down to the Persian Gulf, and then eventually into the Indian Ocean, and then off into the Pacific Ocean. And so they then established those supply lines, which then eventually became kind of a permanent influence in Iran by the Soviet Union. And so after the war was over, Stalin never pulled those troops out, and he just kept them there. And the hope was if he could keep those soldiers there, then he could influence Iran to possibly become a communist country. Okay? So March 1946, this is not long after World War II is over, Stalin starts demanding that Iran allow the Soviet Union to have access to their oil supplies. Iran obviously is a big oil producing country. And he demands that the Iranians will sell him oil, and then he'll have access to that oil. And so in order to get that access, there were communists that lived in Iran that would want Iran to be a communist country. And so Stalin then turned around and started helping those Iranian communists to try to overturn the government of Iran in order to establish a communist government that would be friendly with the Soviet Union. So the United States demanded that the Soviet Union withdraw from Iran and get their troops out of there. And so the United States sent their ships to the Persian Gulf, just south of Iran, as you can see in the picture here. And there was a threat that if Iran would not pull out of, or excuse me, if the Soviet Union would not pull out of Iran, that there might be a fight between the United States and the Soviet Union. And so in this situation, the Soviet Union backed down. They decided they were going to withdraw their troops, and the United States is going to end up having an immense amount of influence in Iran because of this. And so the United States, definitely after World War II in these Middle Eastern countries, starts building a massive amount of power in these Middle Eastern countries. And we had a ready supply of oil for years and years and years because of this. So then Stalin starts focusing on the country of Turkey. And so Turkey is an interesting place because there is the city of Istanbul. If you look on this map here, you can see right here where these red arrows are, right here by the Bosporus Straits. On the left side of the Bosporus Straits, or the northwest side of the Bosporus, that is half of the city of Istanbul. And then you've got the Bosporus Straits, and then the other half of the city of Istanbul is on the other side of the Bosporus. And so it's split by that strait. What's interesting is half of the city is technically, the west side of the city is technically in Europe, while the east side of the city is technically in Asia. And so this is kind of the delineating or starting line of Asia, between Asia and Europe. And so the Black Sea, as you can see here, just north of Istanbul, Turkey, is connected to the Soviet Union. And so big portion of the Soviet Union is right on the Black Sea. And so the Soviet Union wants to be able to have access from the Black Sea into down here in the picture, which is the Mediterranean. And then, of course, from the Mediterranean, they would have access to the Atlantic Ocean. And so the Soviet Union, Stalin, wanted to be able to control the route from the Black Sea here through the Bosporus, down here through the Dardanelles, and then into the Mediterranean. And so he would be able to protect shipping and the movement of his navy and all sorts of things. Well, Turkey controlled that whole area. And so in August of 1946, Stalin demanded that Turkey enter into an agreement with the Soviet Union where the two countries could jointly control that area. And Turkey didn't want to do that. Turkey did not want the Soviet Union to have access. So once again, in order to try to facilitate containment, President Truman sent 2 Navy carriers to the Mediterranean and into the Dardanelles and into the Sea of Marmara, just south of the Bosporus, in order to protect Turkey. That if the Soviet Union by force would try and take this area and jointly use it with Turkey or attack Turkey, that the Soviet Union would be there to help Turkey out. And so this is an example of the United States trying to do containment through military force, basically. So, and it was a big standoff, but eventually the Soviet Union backed down yet again. So remember, as we talked about on Wednesday, one of the main reasons why the Soviet Union is backing down so much is because of the fact that the United States has nuclear weapons and the Soviet Union doesn't. And that's why the United States is able to kind of have the upper hand for a while with this Cold War until the Soviet Union develops their first atomic bomb. And then it becomes more of an interesting chess match between the two countries. So during World War II, Great Britain had helped the country of Greece. If you look on this map here, Greece is this small country down here, just east of Italy. They had helped the Greek government, after the war, to fight communists that were Greek communists. So there was a communist group in Greece trying to rebel against the government of Greece and turn Greece over to a communist country. Once again, and they were hoping to have a relationship with the Soviet Union and Stalin. And Stalin would love that. He'd actually would love that. So February 1947, Britain financially was not able to help Greece out any longer with military support to be able to fight off these Greek communists. And so the United States took over where Great Britain left off. So on March 12, 1947, Truman asked Congress for $400 million to be able to help defend Greece and Turkey against communists, and likewise the Soviet Union. So in his speech, where he was asking Congress for this $400 million, he expressed what is called the Truman Doctrine, named after him. So this is his doctrine. This is how he wants to deal with communism, other than this idea of containment. But in this Truman Doctrine, he pledges to the whole world that the United States government, as long as he is in charge, will pledge to the rest of the world that they will do everything they possibly can within their power to stop the spread of communism worldwide and help any country possible to be able to do that. And so that, once again, makes a line in the sand between the Soviet Union and the United States. So, all right, I'm running out of time here for this section of the video, so I'm going to stop this and we'll have a part 2.